Hello and welcome to Northside NOW. This is the podcast where your lovable hosts take you on a tour through all of the ministries and the latest happenings around Northside Church to keep you better connected with your church family. I'm one of your hosts, Patrick, and with me as always are my two co-hosts, Glenn Miller and Kevin Bryant. What's up, guys?
Howdy.
Hey.
So you just went to St. Louis, huh?
I did. I just jumped off of the bus and ran in here.
So how were the roller coasters?
The roller coasters were rolling. They were good. It was so hot.
They have all the misting fans.
They
running.
had just a very few. They didn't have them all going.
Really interesting.
It was a very interesting trip because there was several things that were closed in the park, and the workforce was very new and very young. I mean, they even would say they're new. Interesting adventure, but good on our behalf. I mean, the kids had a great time and all that good stuff. But
I heard you had a flat tire. How did that go?
We kept up the Northside Student Ministry tradition by going to Walmart. We always do that on a trip. And now the new tradition, a few years old, is a flat tire on the transport. I think it just, I don't know what happened. It was like it just came apart. It was a 12,000 miles on that tire, but the side of it was gone.
Well, I mean,
it didn't actually,
shred. And
leave road gators everywhere.
To be fair, it hasn't really. It's been kind of sitting in the parking lot for a year. So
honestly, I think that has to.
That's probably got something to do with it.
And I checked them before I left. I mean, it
felt okay.
Visually,
well, you got to have at least
at
least a blowout or a breakdown or something on the ground on the trip. So
you do.
Dead batteries.
Yeah, something's got to happen.
Those.
I remember one time I was on a youth trip, and I don't even remember what it was for, but I remember the bus breaking down, and another bus had to come and pick us up and take us.
That was which trip was that on Atlanta?
That was an Atlanta.
The Atlanta trip, and it happened on the West Virginia ski trip way back in the day. But the funny thing was that was because the brakes froze up on the bus.
Oh boy!
And by the time almost right before the new bus got there, the old bus started working fine again. So.
Yeah. Well, that was also the trip.
The Atlanta trip was the one you remember.
Yeah, that's what I remember. There was a high-speed chase.
Yes,
the high-speed chase went past us while we were sitting there.
And we got on the ghetto bus. the 1970s kickback.
Oh, man.
Bus. That was awesome.
With our bus driver, Crazy Ed. And letting weird people on our bus. And we went to Six Flags, too. We did.
But our Six Flags trip was cut short because of Hurricane Danny, I believe.
Was it Danny? I just remember it rained a lot.
It was a hurricane. When you leave the water park and the 55-gallon drums are floating in the parking lot.
Oh, my God.
The trash drums. It's a good day.
This is the stuff that youth trips are made of, though. Yeah. The memories that you have. And, well, I'm glad you're back safely.
It is good to be back safely, and we all had a good time. I mean, I think everybody had a great time.
Well, that's the thing. You get to connect with people maybe you don't spend a lot of time with and build some relationships, and that's what it's all about, isn't it?
It was fun. We got and I had lunch at Lambert's, so nothing's wrong with that.
Did you bring back some rolls so you can throw them at me?
Let me tell you, those things I think have gotten larger.
The size of my head.
They're huge now. I don't know.
It's like throwing a whole loaf of bread across.
Just about.
It's easier target practice, though. Yeah. Maybe
it is. I don't know. I guess I wonder if they decided that people could catch those better.
Exactly.
They were fluffier, so if they hit you and you weren't expecting it was softer.
That's what I always wondered. What was the catch throw percentage? Way back in the day, it's like you invariably see all the stuff on the floor because nobody would catch them.
And they said people
knock stuff off the table.
People used to bring fishing nets, like you scoop it to catch them in. There was none of that this time.
I was there one time. Somebody had a baseball glove on.
Yeah,
and was catching with a baseball glove.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that's good stuff though.
Yeah, that's a good place to eat. Good place to stop with a group.
Yep.
So.
Yep, for sure.
Good stuff.
Well, we've got exciting topic today to talk about. We get to talk about the Holy Land and a trip coming up. Pastor Gary's going to be in.
Yep.
Can't get a flat tire on your trip for that one.
Well, you would hope. I mean, there's not a flat tire on the plane, or.
I mean, technically they do get on a bus, right? And they go around.
Oh, yeah.
So
but it's not
that's right.
It's not the Northside transport.
Yeah, that's true.
I would love to do this trip. I'm excited to hear this.
Getting to see all those places would be really cool.
I would love to do that. On some of the youth curriculum we use from rightnow.org, like Francis Chan, some other people actually they're talking as they're walking up the Via Dolorosa and stuff like that, and it's still on video. Mm-hmm. I want to see it. I want to pick up a rock off there. I just want
to smell it.
I want to touch it. I want to touch a leaf in the Garden of Eden. Not Garden of Eden, but the Garden of Gethsemane.
If you could find the Garden of Eden to touch a leaf in it, you let me know where it is.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's much better to experience it, and that sticks with you a little bit differently than, even just watching a YouTube video, which I've seen a few that, discuss that kind of thing, or like the Francis Chan Bible study kind of videos as well. But yeah, we're going to hear a little bit more about that in just a few minutes.
Fun times.
You fully recovered from your honeymoon and trips and all that?
I'm getting there.
Good.
I'm getting there. I'm slowly checking things off of the to-do list.
Yeah.
We've still got a pile of wedding stuff in the kitchen that we're trying to figure out where that's going to go. But
oh yeah, all that stuff and the registries and all that. I've forgotten about all that part of it.
Have you compiled a really large amount of money at Bed Bath & Beyond?
Oh, don't worry. That's already been spent.
Has it? Celeste and Jake, they're the most recent married people in our family. And they were talking about this large amount of money that they had at Bed Bath & Beyond, which was on their registry as well. But from what people gave them online, then when they returned stuff, and there was they said it was so fun to spend that money on different things.
Oh, it really is. Because one of the things that you can do with Bed Bath & Beyond is you go on there, people can buy the stuff, but rather than actually buying the physical thing, it just gives you that dollar amount.
Oh yeah,
that you can then go. And so we had a large chunk of change that we were able to go in and get what we needed, and we did have duplicates of some things that we were able to take back. And I think we have a little bit left, but then again, Elizabeth went a little crazy with the throw pillows, and so I can't sit on the couch anymore. But
welcome to living with a girl.
Well, if it's like our couch, you use the throw pillows under the cushions because the couch is losing its spring. So they may come in handy later for a different reason.
Okay. But getting married, and if you're getting married and you end up with that situation, Celeste said, because they had no other money other ways, they used that to buy a lot of Christmas presents for people, for family and stuff. So
be creative with it.
I will say we already have a lot of our Christmas shopping done, because as we were road tripping,
there
cool.
you go. See, that's a good.
So we bought people a bunch of stuff, but they haven't gotten it, and they're not going to get it till Christmas.
That's
smart.
Cool though. Yeah,
that's very smart.
Use your time and money wisely.
Yep.
That's right.
Well, we want to welcome back to the podcast room the one and only Pastor Gerry Campbell. How's it going, Pastor Gerry?
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here with you guys. So.
Welcome back on a frigid July day. When we record this, at least.
Yes, there's no telling what the temperature will be when it plays.
Well, I'll tell you that, it's bad when in the evening you have your air conditioner on and it doesn't go down.
Yeah.
Now, that actually indicates a problem with our air conditioner, which is something we just experienced recently. But
I would bet everybody is calling their favorite repairman.
I know, it is.
Paying unbelievable prices for Freon.
It is hot.
Yeah.
It is hot.
And it's not even August.
I know that the worst is yet to come. Perhaps.
Oh, don't tell me that.
Perhaps.
It is.
But we're here to talk about something really exciting, and that is the trip that you were involved in leading to Israel.
Yes.
And so we wanted to talk about, first of all, if people are interested about it, how they get connected with it, but also a little bit more about the trip. And you've been, how many times have you been now?
I've been twice.
Yeah.
And this will be the third trip. But if anyone would like information about the Holy Land trip to Israel, they can call me here at the church. They can email me, or they can call me on my cell phone, 731-217-9314. And on August the 15th from 1 to 2:30 p.m., in room 301 here at the church, there's an Israel interest meeting.
Oh, cool.
For anyone who is interested in going. We will answer any questions that people have about travel. If you are interested, the very first thing I'm going to tell you to do is today. If you do not have a passport, go get a passport. Mm-hmm. Passports are taking anywhere from 3 to 6 months to come back once you apply for it. But get your passport and get your real ID.
Yeah.
If you don't have those, I'm sorry, you can't go.
I thought you were going to say you need to start saving money right now.
And you do need to start saving money. The trip is April the 25th to, March 25th through April the 4th. $4,200 per person is the base fee to go. The thing about the trip is we utilize a group called Friends and Travel Tours. They're out of Little Rock, but they're a Christian tour group. They organize the trip, and essentially they organize the flights, the hotels, all of your transportation. So if you go on the trip, you will get an agenda from them. If you pay all the fees and everything, normally 90 days ahead of the trip, you get a letter. We usually fly out of Memphis. We fly from Memphis to Newark. We fly as a group together. We fly from Newark into Tel Aviv. We meet our host. Adam generally is our host. Adam is a graduate of Hebrew University. He's been doing this for probably 7 or 8 years. There's a whole group of people that do this. But essentially they meet us when we get to Israel. We get on a bus. We're on that bus the whole time we're there.
Okay.
It's 11 days. They accompany us to hotels. They stay in hotels with us. They accompany us anywhere we're going. It is a guided tour. And so as an example, the very first day is the trip from travel time. Day 2 is in Israel. Essentially, we land at Ben Gurion Airport. We then normally leave Ben Gurion Airport, head up to Mount Carmel.
Okay.
So there's a lot of stuff in the Bible about Mount Carmel, where Baal's prophets were slain. So we normally go up to Mount Carmel. We'll go across the Kishon. We'll go across a number of the rivers that if you're a student of the Old Testament that you get to see. We do that en route to the hotel. Normally we begin around the Sea of Tiberias.
Okay.
Which is in northern Israel, or in your Bible, it would be the Galilee. The Galilee is the northern part of Israel, which is where Jesus did most of his ministry. But we start at the Sea of Galilee at a hotel there. The trip group sets up every hotel that we stay in. Normally we're in the Galilee area for about the first 3 nights.
When you're around the Sea of Galilee, do you get to get on a boat and go out onto the? Oh, that's awesome.
The storms come up automatically.
Yes, and believe it or not,
now do you get to fish?
The storms, no, you can, but I don't know if you catch a fish with a coin in its mouth.
Right.
But you do. You actually at the hotels are right on the Sea of Galilee.
That's cool.
So you get to see the sunrises. You get to see storms blow up. You get to see all that stuff.
Cool.
At the normally the first day that we're actually there, once we leave the hotel, we go up to Capernaum. We go up to Tagapa, which is most of us know that area in the Bible as the Sermon on the Mount. It's a rock quarry, so if you're standing at the top, you can look down at the bottom and you can speak, and everybody can hear you.
That's cool.
And so it's cool when you begin to realize, wait a minute, some of these things that you read in the Bible. Yeah. When you actually get there. Also, there's a little village called Magdala that is there, which is the home of Mary Magdalene.
Yeah.
And so when you go to Capernaum, you go to Peter's house, and there's a synagogue right next to it.
Wow.
And so you get to do all of those things. You go to northern Israel, the northern part of the Galilee, where you go to Caesarea Philippi, where Jesus did a lot of his teaching, particularly around this ancient temple to Baal. And so you get to understand the Bible in a geographical way, but you also get to understand it in a way as you would never see it.
Yeah.
You go to Tel Dan, which is where the people of Israel were judged, which is in 1 Kings.
I'm a very visual person, so I imagine once you get to see these places, like for real, when you read about them in the Bible, I bet it changes the way you read the Bible.
Changes everything.
Completely.
I was sharing with Patrick just before we started was when you go to Caesarea Philippi, which is where the gates of hell is at. The gates of hell is a cave system.
I've seen a little bit about this, yeah.
And so when you read in Scripture, you hear Jesus say, the gates of hell will not prevail against my church. Well, what you don't get is, okay, there is a temple. There was an ancient temple,
right,
where they made human sacrifices. If they threw your body, generally a female body, down to the bottom of the cave, and they saw blood in the water, that meant that the sacrifice had been rejected.
Mm-hmm.
And if they didn't see, then that was accepted. And so what you begin to realize is, wait a minute, that temple represented evil, the devil. And what Jesus is saying is, wait, my church, the gates of hell will not prevail against my church.
Right.
And so you get to see the ancient stones, you get to actually see the cave opening and everything that is still there.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing sight. And so you never read that scripture again in that same way.
Right. Well, and you preached on the gates of hell, I think, at some point here recently. But I think the thing for me that I would be interested in seeing is seeing those places, like you said, Patrick, but then getting the context behind what is the words actually say. Yes. And that's exactly like the gates of hell you're talking about, giving you context to, otherwise you think, okay, it's maybe some mythical place on, you do. You don't have a sense of what that actually meant.
And the wonderful thing is that the tour guides are graduates of Hebrew University. Every now and again, you have these proud Christians who know the Bible really well, that want to get into debates with them and read Scripture and says, the Bible says this. And what you don't get until you're there is that, wait a minute, the Bible came from those traditions. So all of us have had the experience probably of some preacher or someone sticking a Bible in our face and something that we don't like them to say. But you begin to realize that, wait a minute, the Bible wasn't actually written in the form that we have it till much later.
Yep.
And so when you are there, you have a whole different insight to the stories that you read in the Bible that you otherwise would never have. One of the places that we stop is Beth Shean, which was an ancient Roman city, but it's also the city where Saul was quartered. Saul and Jonathan were quartered. And you go there, and they have unearthed it, a tale obviously is a hill that is covered up an ancient city. They spend years taking these layers down. So they have revealed this whole Roman city, Cardo, that is there. And so when you see that, you see the bathhouses, you see how the Roman quarters line up directly to the garrison that usually would be where the soldiers were at. It just blows you away. This is where the Philistines were at. You read about the Philistines. You read this ancient stuff.
Right.
And it just blows you away because you're reading this now, you're seeing this. You go to the Jordan River. The Jordan River runs out of the Sea of Galilee. Patrick mentioned we do a boat tour of the Sea of Galilee. You cast out on the sea. The sea is 3 miles wide, 11 miles long. The first time I went, the wind was blowing probably 50 or 60 miles an hour when we got there. And no one really wants to go out, but we said, we're here, so we might as well. We go out. They designed the boats in the ancient way. They're wood boats that they actually make. As soon as the guide undid the rope and threw it in the boat and we cast out, the wind just died down. The clouds lifted, and it's like a holy moment. And so when you're reading in Scripture about Jesus walking on the water and how stormy it can be, you can see where those waters can get really stormy. And so the other side, the north side of the Sea of Galilee, is the boundary area for Jerash, which today people go to, but I don't know if people remember the New Testament lesson where Jesus sent the demons into the pigs. They ran off the cliff into the Sea of Galilee.
Got it.
And so you don't really realize that. Well, that's in Jordan. But that's all happening in the area of the Sea of Galilee. And what is Lebanon? That's where he was traveling, all these places.
This reminds me of experiences I've had, like if I've been to London, New York City, thinking about your trip recently, being in Philadelphia and Boston. You hear the stories, maybe you learn them in school, or in this case, in the Bible stories in Sunday school or whatever. But when you experience it, it really does blow your mind a little bit, and it gives it so much more weight
and more. It just makes it more real.
Yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
I know, like last night I was reading a book and they started talking a little bit about some of the history in Salem, Massachusetts. Well, we stayed in Salem, Massachusetts on our trip.
Right.
And so when they started talking about some of these places, I was like, oh, I've been there. I know what that looks. I've stood in that street. I've stood in that courtyard. So it's like, it gives it a sense of realism that, like I was saying, I bet you read the Bible completely differently.
When you go up on Mount Carmel, Armageddon is this valley. Well, guess what? That's the Rift Valley that comes up out of Africa. You don't realize it till you're there, and you say, wait a minute. This is amazing. And this is where all the stuff is supposed to happen at the end of the age.
Right.
And you're looking down in this valley, and you can see for 50 or 60 miles. Think about that, 50 or 60 miles one way. And you go to Megiddo, you go to all those places, and you will never read the Bible the same. Mm-hmm. And, one of the things that they will ask you when you first get there is, why is Jerusalem a holy city? And, they won't tell you. I said, think about that. But I won't give the answer, but what happened there in Genesis, that becomes Jerusalem or Salem, because that is Jerusalem. But there was something that God essentially sent one of the early fathers to do something to a child, to make a sacrifice. And you're sitting there thinking, okay, I'm not really sure what you're talking about.
Right.
So many of them do this. But it's amazing. You also go to Qumran, where they found those ancient scrolls.
Oh, yeah.
Where the Essenes had taken them. You go to Masada. There's been tons of movies about Masada.
Yeah.
Where, the Roman siege ramps, and there's actually 2 of the siege ramps that you can still see on top of Masada, looking down. And so it's an amazing trip to be able to take and go, but you'll never read the Bible the same.
I'm sure.
You just won't. And when you go to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre and you see the stone of unction, and you go to the Garden of Gethsemane, it's just the ancient olive trees that they can actually prove go back several thousand years, are still there. And so it just kind of blows you away.
Yeah.
And so it's a once in a lifetime opportunity for people. But if you're interested, I would say, hey, we're happy to have you join us. But it's a wonderful trip. It's a trip of a lifetime.
Well, let's talk a little bit about, all this obviously is still around, so it's modern day, but what's sort of the situation there? We hear a lot on the news about various different conflicts in the Middle East, and it's truth be told, it's always been that way since the beginning of creation.
They've been fighting for 8,000 years.
So how safe is it?
And so one of the things that I got concerned about is, okay, how safe will it be? Well, before I retired and came into this the ministry, I was the crime statistician for the police department. So I did research about crime, where things are happening. I was quite concerned the first time I went. But the Israelis and the Arab neighbors, and a lot of the areas that you would go to, Jericho is in the West Bank,
okay,
which is an area that Israel took over in 1967, and they've controlled it ever since. So Israel, there are areas A, B, C, and D. 2 of those areas are jointly controlled. 2 of those areas are controlled by the Palestinians. Jericho is one of those areas where the Mount of Temptation is at, where the Valley of Shadow of Death is at. So you're in all these areas. The thing that the Israelis and the Palestinian military does, they cooperate.
Okay.
The area that gets most of the attention is the Gaza Strip,
right,
which you will never get to. They do have incidents sometimes in East Jerusalem where you have extremists, Israeli extremists, as well as Palestinian extremists that get into it with each other. But you have even more Israelis and Palestinians who live side by side, have been neighbors for years.
Right.
And so the American media kind of picks up on the conflict, and that's the focus.
Yeah.
But I don't think any of us have ever sat down and listened to a news broadcast where they talk about these areas, A, B, C, and D. Even in the Holy City, you will see the Israeli military there, as well as the Palestinian police. The Via Dolorosa is controlled by the Palestinian police. And so the Temple Mount is controlled by the Palestinian police and is safe. You do have incidents sometimes. You have Israeli settlers who can be, troublesome to the Israeli army or to the Palestinians. But it's probably one of the safest trips I have ever been on. And things don't happen.
So it doesn't feel like there's an oppressive military force or anything like that.
You do not. And in some areas, they will not let Palestinians in. Mm-hmm. In some areas, they will not let Israelis in. But that's an agreement that they make between them. Mm-hmm. But I've never felt safer when I've gone. You're in modern-day hotels. You would think you were in America.
Yeah.
You can drink the water. You can eat the food. They set up all of that as part of the trip. You may pay for 2 or 3 meals out of your pockets at lunch, but for the most part, they set up these amazing meals. But it's safe. You can walk. In fact, you can walk through the old city at night on your own self-guided tour.
Wow.
And you're safe. Now, you don't get that when you watch the news media. But to go into the old city, you go through security. You can't take certain things with you.
Sure.
But I've taken cameras, cell phones, all that stuff. And I've felt safe, never felt. The only thing that they will tell you is to be careful of pickpockets. Mm-hmm. They have people, because you have over 5.7 million people coming to Israel. So it would be a pickpocket's dream.
But that's not a thing
it's
exclusive to. Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
You go to New York, it's the same way.
Exactly.
You go to
right.
any major metropolitan area with a lot of people
It
is especially tourists.
Exactly. Yeah. But 5.7 million people a year go to Israel for the tourism, for the religious tourism, to go to the holy sites. It is amazing to go to the Wailing Wall and just to pray. And so I've never felt any angst. Even with my law enforcement background, I've never felt angst at all.
Well, I don't know about you, Kevin, but this just makes me want to go to Israel.
Well, I've always wanted to go, and I think it's just one of those things when it's the right time.
Exactly.
Exactly. But it's a wonderful opportunity for anybody here, or if you're listening to this and you don't you don't live in Jackson.
April 15th. Call me.
What is the sort of deadline? You talked about passports, and that does take a long time.
If you want to go to Israel, make sure you have passports. Passports are taken anywhere from 3 months to 6 months to be sent back to you, but you've got to have a passport to go.
And renewals on passport take a long time too.
If your passport expires within a year, they will not allow you into Israel.
Okay, that's good to know.
So you just need to make sure that you have a passport that is valid, that at least a year beyond the return date, which would be April 4th, you're good.
Yeah, get on it now.
Get on it right now.
And tell people one more time how to get in touch with you to ask you about it.
You call me here at the church. You can call me at 731-217-9314, and I will be happy to share any information. And then obviously August 15th is the information meeting in room 301 here at the church.
Cool. Well, Pastor Gerry, thank you so much for stopping by and letting us know about this. This sounds like a great opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to do it.
What else is going on, Patrick?
Connection coming up this week. Tomorrow, if you're listening to this, is going to be a big day, the 4th. It's when meals are going to start back. Woohoo! Wednesday night fellowship dinner.
Yes.
Starting at 5 p.m. You can sign up for that online. Let us know so we can make sure there's enough food for everybody. The children are going to lead connection service.
Right.
Oh, cool.
All the groups are starting back, all the children's activities. Confirmation's starting.
Mm-hmm. Confirmation orientation.
It's going to be a big night.
It is a big night.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. It's good to get stuff rolling again.
Yep.
Right.
Also, we got green sheets going on. Started on Sunday, so make sure you fill one of those out or go online and fill out the form online. Either one.
And I think Daphne's going to be with us next week on the podcast to talk about green sheets in depth.
Yeah, because there may be people listening that have never experienced that, don't know what that is, other than it's a green sheet.
Yeah. It is
is it really a green sheet?
It is green, and it is... I even colored the form online to be green.
Cool.
So,
awesome.
But it's a discipleship and ministry opportunity form. It's a way for you to find your place to plug in, you know. And there's even a section on there if there's a ministry you want to start that isn't currently happening at Northside, or if there's, it's basically just where do you want to plug in and how do you want to serve? How do you want to use your gifts to give back? So
awesome. And it is important to put that faith into action.
Yes. Right. And I tell you, as staff people, it does help us. I mean, it gives us numbers to call people, we know and people we don't know. I mean, it's helped me a ton to get to know a lot of people. So please fill them out. They are very helpful.
On August 10th, there's a Joy Group meeting. Good. So there's also a form online for that. So go check that out. I think we're still doing boxed lunches on that. So if you want a boxed lunch, just fill out that form.
And that's on Tuesday at what?
Tuesday at 11 o'clock.
Okay, cool.
On the 11th, there is acolyte training. Yeah. If you have questions about that, ask Christy.
Yeah. Acolyte, they always get so excited to do their training. They look forward to that. This is like the confirmants look forward to moving up to the youth group.
Well, it's just a sign that, you're getting older and you get more responsibility. And
they trust me with fire in the church.
That's right. That's right.
Play with fire. Who doesn't want to play with fire? Let's be honest.
Right. But you get to participate in worship, kind of.
Absolutely.
You don't have to sit with your parents. Yeah. You sit in a it's a neat thing. You're right. It's growing up.
Yep.
Well, yeah, and also Gerry talked about on the 15th is the information meeting for the Israel trip. So if you want to learn a little bit more about that, I would recommend checking that out. It's going to be in room 301 on the 15th. So,
and I think for anybody that is hearing this and just has an inkling or an urge or nudge to do it, pray about that. Consider it. I know it is somewhat expensive for some people. Maybe more doable for others, but it is definitely a once-in-a-lifetime trip if you ever get the chance to go. I've heard that from so many people that have gone. I've not gone myself. I do want to go at some point. But it really does change the way you think about maybe the Bible stories you've already read, but as you go forward, as you read through, you can put, it's like putting faces to names. With people, you're putting faces to places, and it really can enrich your understanding of the Bible. So I highly encourage, if you're even interested at all, at least come and maybe come to the meeting and find out more. Ask some questions.
Yeah, I would love to do that someday. That sounds like a really neat thing.
Well, speaking of cool, everybody needs to try and stay cool wherever you are in the world. It's summertime in the Northern Hemisphere, and it's hot so many different places.
Yep. It is hot. It was hot in St. Louis, and it is hot in Jackson.
And it is humid in Jackson. Yeah. It's like stepping outside into a hot tub.
I don't know. And I don't think I've been in the air conditioned more this year. Maybe I have, but I don't know. It just seems a little more humid and just this year. I don't know
at least this early.
Yeah. I hope this doesn't take us deeper into the fall.
I saw.
We'll probably have a good week in October.
I've seen football teams are having practices during the day, and I know there's heat protocols for all the sports, so they may be inside, but folks are doing the things that they normally would. It's just everybody try and be safe, overhydrate, and we'll come through it all.
And it is interesting that you mentioned the teams and stuff, because it started popping up in Texas, and I'm sure it was across the entire South. And now it's worked its way up here to Tennessee and Jackson, where these teams, the schools, have indoor workout facilities specifically for this purpose. And I mean, their soccer teams use them, the band uses them, there's all kinds of, of course, the football teams and all that, but those are popping up more and more all the time, which is smart. It's better than sitting on the sidelines, not able to do your team stuff. So.
Right.
But yeah, be careful. The guys I always think about them a lot in the cold too, are the guys that are picking up trash, or they're the linemen, on the poles, the JEA guys.
Everything on I-40, all the work being done.
All the workers up and down there. You stop and think about that, and there's all kinds of stuff that's just out there all the time. So we're thinking about y'all.
Yeah.
We haven't forgotten you. Those of us who sit in offices and only go outside to take your kids to St. Louis to Six Flags.
Well, stay hydrated, everybody.
That's right.
Well, guys, thanks for podcasting with me. And thanks to all of you out there in the world for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from us, you can follow us on Instagram at Northside Now Podcast, go to our website, northsidejackson.com, or email us at podcast@northsidejackson.com. We hope to hear from you soon. Once again, this is Patrick.
This is Glenn.
And I'm Kevin.
And that's what's happening at Northside Now.
Bye-bye.